Welcome back to another video from the Debate Room podcast. This is episode 153. It is our week 4 NFL recap of the obviously week 4 NFL season. Before we get into it, make sure you guys like the video, share the video, comment your frustrations or your happiness with how your team did in the week 4, and follow us on our social media platforms up at the top of the screen right here. Those are our social media platforms. It will also be linked down in the description to know when we are posting and all that type of stuff. It was, I think, in a very, very exciting week 3. I might have said week 4, week 3 recap. It was super unpredictable to the point where all my money line bets, all my parlays didn't hit because there were so many upsets this week. Block field goals. Tonight, the Ravens and Lions had a very, very high scoring game. So a lot of great storylines came from this week. A lot of great games. So the NFL season has got off to a really good start. So we're gonna talk about it. And the first game we're gonna talk about is the Lions and the Ravens. The Lions beat the Ravens 38-30. I feel like the game was not that close, obviously, because the Ravens scored in garbage time. Well, not really garbage time, but to get a chance, self a chance to try to make a miraculous comeback with that onside kick at the end of the game. But the Lions, I want to say they handled the Ravens in their win in Baltimore as well. One on the road in Baltimore. So props to them. This game was back and forth. And then a costly mistake from Derrick Henry, which he has fumbled in every single game of the season now, really gave the Lions momentum. They also got the quarterback pretty well tonight. The Ravens offensive line was not great whatsoever tonight. The receivers weren't creating separation towards the end of this game. And also, I just feel like they got dominated in the trenches on both sides of the ball, especially with David Montgomery in there. Not saying he was the reason that he had a great night, but he had a lot more success than Jahmyr Gibbs running the ball tonight. So I feel like especially in the David Montgomery reps, they just dominated the line of scrimmage, and then they obviously dominated the line of scrimmage on the other end of the ball. So Q, you are a Ravens fan. They start the season 1-2. Where are you at right now as a Ravens fan now that they started the season 1-2? Especially when this was a very winnable game for them.
I'm not panicked. I shouldn't be. Mostly because that division, even though it was a tough division, it's AFC North, it ain't that this year. Like, obviously you could cross the Browns out, you can cross the Bengals out. They're not competing for anything. And the Steelers can compete in terms of regular season, try to get some wins, scrappy, whatnot, maybe play spoiler, but they're not no real threat for us losing the division. So I think we're gonna host a playoff game no matter what. It's just the little things you got to clean up. When things get bad, it gets worse real fast. Like when things start to heat up, it's like we just never know how to corral and come back together and stick to the game plan. We start doing little trick fancy things. We start getting besides ourselves. That's always been the thing. Common theme with the Ravens is we beat ourselves. We don't ever get beat by by teams. And then kind of seen it this game, seen it game 1, seen it playoffs. We start doing things uncharacteristic like fumbles. Derrick Henry has fumbled 3 times in a row, once in 3 games. That's three lost fumbles. That's not a good thing, especially in the waning moments of games. Seems like game 1 in this game, fumbles on very important drives when you're trying to move, win the game, put some points up, keep the clock moving. Just ain't go. They got a lot of pressure. Sacked Lamar 8 times. Had him deep in the backfield. Couldn't really get nothing going. Mark Andrews had a great game, but that's just a byproduct of just needing a safety valve. That's just all in all. Just we still put up 30 points. It can't be too mad. You put up 30 points with all those mistakes, but we just got to clean things up because once December, January roll around, we can't afford to do things like that, or else we'll be going home early again.
Yeah, I think the Ravens right now, their problem is obviously their defense. They've given up some of the most points through 3 weeks throughout the season. If their defense isn't able to get home to the quarterback, I think their secondary is obviously susceptible to passing plays. I expect the Ravens to have a much better defense than what they've shown so far. They haven't been able to get after the passer, and they play a lot of too high safety to prevent deep looks. And the defense they've been running right now is just like if they haven't been able to get pressure, they're getting torched by everybody. I think Jared Goff was 18 to 25 in the pocket tonight. He was able to sit back there all night and do whatever he wanted. He was able to sit in the pocket and his receivers down the field. JMO had it going early. Amon-Ra had it going. And then I feel like the Ravens were able to stop the run at the beginning of the game. But then the Lions pivoted to the passing game. And then David Montgomery got it going. Jahmyr Gibbs never got it going as far as like getting on the ground efficiently. But he had like 45, 50 yards tonight. So the Lions running attack was potent.
70.
Their passing attack was potent. I'm sorry?
I see he had 70.
Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Lions pretty much were able to do whatever they wanted tonight on offense. They moved the ball really efficiently, and they're looking like the Lions like they have over the past 2-3 years. After that debacle in week 1 of the season, I think a few of us overreacted in terms of how they're going to adjust with their new offensive coordinator, with their new defensive coordinator. But since the Packers shut them down in week 1, their offense has looked very, very potent. It's still super creative, and the talent is still popping. Jared Goff is still an efficient pocket passer when he can stay in the pocket and hang in the pocket and handle pressure well. He's been one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and it's still showing so far. I think the Lions will be fine. I think I had to win the division going into the year. They're still going to be in contention to do that. But the Ravens, yeah, they definitely probably need to trade for a pass rusher. I understand Van Noy was out. Matabuke was out tonight, so that definitely hurt them as well. They weren't able to get any pressure, and those are a few of their best, run stoppers as well. So that's not going to be a efficient plan for you, and that's why the defense look, I think, worse than what it's going to look to in a year. I think last year their defense caught steam and grew and got better throughout the year. I think that will be kind of like the thing this year as well. But it's definitely not looking good right now at all. Let me see where they at right now. Before this game, the Ravens were 21st in QB pressure percentage. And I wouldn't expect it to be much better after this game at all because Jared Goff had all day to sit back in that pocket and throw the ball. Their defense has to get pressure. Their corners are not good enough yet, at least, to not get pressure fast and play man-to-man coverage and succeed. That's not Marlon Humphrey's strength at all. Jair Alexander, that's not his strength, I don't think, right now at least. And he's also hurt. And Malachi Starks is safety. I don't think that's Nate Wiggins' strength at all either. So they don't have the cornerbacks to just rush for, play man, or sit in the zone either. To be honest, so yeah, it starts with their pass rushers getting more pressure, but I'm not too concerned about either one of these teams. Very good Sunday night football game in my opinion, and the Lions are proving that they're still a well-oiled machine. Got to give some credit to Dan Campbell. He's stuck with his philosophy, and people question. People question if Dan Campbell was going to be able to keep up his success now that his OC and DC are going, but it looks like, at least right now, that he hired the right people. And he's kept the culture the same, and he's kept the expectations the same, and they still are a very talented team. So yeah, it was a really great showing from the Lions front seven tonight, for sure. I don't know if that's necessarily on the Ravens just offensive line or how much credit I'm giving it to them because they were like out of their body tonight, extraordinary.
No, yeah,
Like
everybody pretty much ate on the Lions front seven.
Mhm.
Everybody literally made a play today. Like everybody made a play. Jack Campbell made a play. Muhammad made a play. DJ Reader made a play. Made plays early. Tyreek Williams made a play early as a rookie. Aiden Hutchinson obviously got the fumble and the sack. Brian Branch came up clutch. Like everybody did their thing. Derek Barnes got a sack. Like they did their thing. Like I said, I think going into the season, the Lions, even without the coordinators, I think they have a solid blueprint already. Like OCs don't need to, if things are already flowing, you don't need to come in and change anything that much. Obviously, you put tiny little spins and variations on things, but you see what works. They've been a top 5 offense for basically 2-3 straight years. Stick with what works. I obviously add your little wrinkles in there because you can always get better. Like they weren't a perfect team, they weren't a perfect offense. Had something to do with the quarterback play and things like that. But you have a solid baseline. As long as you have a solid baseline with a top 15 levelish quarterback, you should be solid with the type of pieces they have on offense. And the offensive line, that was a question going in, but the everything that they slid over, plus the addition that they drafted and or signed over, like it's pretty much been fine. Like it was a work in progress, but they're getting in a groove now, and they're pretty much able to hold up now. So I think whether they're a contender or not, we'll see. But they're still pretty much a powerhouse of the regular season.
Yeah, and also I think Lamar Jackson was pretty good tonight. He did take a few sacks. Not at the level you want to see Lamar Jackson at. He had a few turnover worthy plays as well.
He
I
took some
think
chances.
yeah, he took some chances, and also he had that fumble as well. But still, 21, 27, 288 yards. I mean, a few that did come on that last drive. He had 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 77.8 completion percentage. But they also weren't, the best at establishing a run, and it kind of went away from it too. Derrick Henry only had 12 attempts, 50 yards, 1 touchdown, 4.2 yards per carry. So you have to give it to the Lions defense. They did a great job tonight. One of their best performances I can remember against a opponent of this quality, because they can play well against some of the worst teams in the league. But to have the performance they did against a high power offense, you got to tip your cap. They basically gave up 24 points before that last drive, and they were definitely playing prevent defense and being very lax on that last drive. So I'm not going to count that against them. But let's move on. The Chiefs got their first win of the season. They handled the Giants. Well, I wouldn't even say they handled the Giants. They kind of did. No, they did. Won 22-6. Chiefs got their first win of the season. Giants fall to 0-3. We're gonna talk about both of these teams, obviously, but I want to start with the Chiefs. Q. Have the Chiefs have the Chiefs gotten out of their funk to begin the year with this win versus the Giants?
I'm not gonna say they got out of the funk, and not necessarily that they were in a funk in the first place. I just think they got a win while they weren't at full strength, because obviously they do not have their full cast of weapons. I think that's largely a big chunk of their issues right now, along with not having a running game. But we've seen them be able to work around that as long as they take the quick passes, the quick screens, things like that to, kind of like have a makeshift running game. They just need Rasheed and Xavier Worthy back. I still think they should trade for a running back, but they could have lost to the Giants, and I still would have felt comfortable about the Chiefs making the playoffs for the simple fact that you could watch the Chiefs and how they lost, like look at their record. But if you watch those losses, that they were good losses. Like they've had a chance to win in every single one of the games without their full cast of weapons. Plus, also the level of play around the league isn't like that crazy either. Like it would be different if like Denver was 3-0, Chargers 3-0, like all these other AFC teams were like having gaudy records and things like that. But it's not nobody that's like the Texans have not won a game yet. The Jags are 2-1, but I'm pretty sure most people probably believe in the Chiefs before they believe in the Jags. There's still people that don't believe in the Colts, and the Colts are 3-0. So like it's a lot of things going on. The only 2 teams that I would say we really scared of in the AFC, well, not scared of, but like just like we know they're gonna be there as of right now, is the Bills. In terms of like posting the Bills, Ravens, because they're of the division, they're gonna win the division, and the Chargers. Everything else is up in the air right now, and the Chiefs. If anybody could go on a run once they get their receivers back, it's the Chiefs, and they win 10 games, make a wild card berth. All is forgiven. Doesn't really matter. We know they don't have their weapons. I'm not really too worried about that. I still think they need to make that trade for a running back. But once they get everything back after week 6, week 7, there should be a full team, and they should be at full strength. And that'd be the worst for the league if they catch fire because they have to claw to get into the playoffs and go on like an 11-1 type record to get into the playoffs. They're going to be going into the playoffs hot, and nobody really wants to see that Chiefs team as a wild card 6-7 seed coming in hot after winning 10 straight games. So like I think they're fine. Whether they win the Super Bowl or not is up in the air, but I had all faith in the world that they're going to make the playoffs. Like even if they lost this game to the Giants, I still would have had all the faith in the world they would have made the playoffs.
The Chiefs have earned the right to have optimism in them. 7 straight AFC Championship games, 5 Super Bowls. They've earned every right to have optimism in the team, but I don't think they're a good team right now. They're not. They're not. They're a pretty average team right now, I would say. They have major concerns, and a lot of that has to do with injury, for sure. Um, but they can't run the ball. They don't have any great wide receivers right now. Obviously, Rasheed and Worthy have to get on the field in the next coming weeks or so. But even when they do, I think that not being able to run the ball is going to be an issue. Their offensive line has been an issue so far this season in terms of penalties and just blown coverages as well. The defense has looked good to begin the year after that first game against the Chargers. So we'll have to see how they progress. But they definitely, I think, if they're not getting pressure, can be thrown on. So for me, it's early. It's super early. It's super early. But it doesn't feel like the year for the Chiefs to me. It doesn't. And I think that we've got this. We have this like expectation that they're supposed to be competing for a Super Bowl, winning for a Super Bowl every year because that's what they've been. That's what they've been over the last damn near decade. But we have to come back to reality a little bit. This team is not going to be in an AFC Championship game or a Super Bowl every year, and maybe it's too early to say that. But I don't feel like it this year, and they've had years like this in 2021. They've had years like this, and I think in 2022, I'm not mistaken, where they start off pretty slow with their offense. No, that's the year Mahomes won MVP. So probably not.
2021 was after they got blown out by the Bucks. They started 3-4.
Yeah,
but then they came back and still made the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, and they lost, I think.
Yeah.
So they have major issues. I think they definitely need to trade for a running back. Worthy and Rasheed Rice and Hollywood Brown and Juju and then Tyquan Thornton is making an appearance. That would be good. As far as the receiving core, Mahomes can definitely make that work. That would be good. Kelsey as a supporting option at this point in his career, that would be good. That's fine. But having no running game is going to be an issue. It will be an issue. So that's something that need to change for me to feel comfortable about them. Go get a Devon Achane. Go get even an Alvin Kamara will help in this offense.
Brees Hall.
Brees Hall, if they're looking to trade him because they haven't paid him yet. So they have a few different options to help improve this running game, but I cannot trust Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt come February. I can't. I think the teams in the AFC are too good for that to work. They've gotten away with it in previous years for sure, and they could prove me wrong. They probably will prove me wrong, but I think it's a genuine concern to bring up at the moment, and be concerned about the team in general at the moment. Now let's talk about the other team, the Giants, in this equation. Q, is it time for the Giants to start Jackson Dart?
If it was me, I would have started Jackson Dart from the start. But I understand let the quarterback sit, learn the system, get into the NFL, learn how to be in the NFL. But Jackson Dart has started games in the SEC for 3 years. Like he's played at the time pretty much. Well, whether the SEC or the Big Ten is the best conference, it doesn't really matter. But he's played in pretty much one of the best conferences in college football for years, started and won games. He's ready to play. He understands how to play football, what it is to be on a team in the locker room and whatnot. Got fans loving him, teammates seem to like him. Throws the ball, is athletic. Like he can play the game. I understand the schedule was tough. You don't want to just start your young quarterback into a tough schedule because losses and picks and turnovers and not playing good can mess with the ego. But you just got to see what you got and do to like,
It's not getting any better,
yeah,
honestly.
like it. The schedule is bad all year. May find the soft spots, which they do have a soft spot coming up. But you got to see what you got with these quarterbacks because quarterback class next year after that, whether they're going to be top of the line or not, you got to know what you got before you use your capital to try and move on. So you got to see what you got in your building. I think Russell's probably going to start one more game against the Chargers. That is a tough defense. It's a hard game. But after that, if Russ plays bad in the middle of that Chargers game, you could pull him, put in Dart, and start. Dart will probably get his first real start against the Saints in week 5? That's a soft spot to bring in your young quarterback. Play the Saints, not a good team. You probably could get your first win against the Saints in that game with Jackson Dart, just because you got a great defense, young quarterback, no film on him. And you got Malik Neighbors, who probably is going to get the ball because young quarterback, give it to your best playmaker, Malik Neighbors. Go down the field, do what you got to do, and get yourself a nice win. And from then on, you see what you got. Whether he lose a bunch of games or not, we expect that because it's the Giants and it's a tough schedule. I just think it's time to see what you got. No more of this Russ Moonball. Everybody knows what he got. It's either a Moonball or ding and dunk, and that's not enough to get it in the NFL. So if you think you're winning games with that or save me a job with Russell Wilson, you're sadly mistaken. You might as well just go with Jackson Dart.
I agree. I think the Giants have to start Jackson Dart because he, like Dart and Cam Scatterboo and Malik Neighbors, um, those are the guys that have upside on this team at the moment. Like, there's no upside to Russell Wilson. You know what you're going to get out of him. You can get the occasional big play. You saw it versus the Cowboys, which is really an indictment on how bad the Cowboys defense is, which we'll talk about later. Um, but he's a one trick pony. He has lost all of his athleticism. He is not good at reading the field, especially across the middle of the field. Um, and you want to see what you have in your rookie quarterback pretty soon, especially with Brian Dable on the hot seat. You need to see for sure, especially since Brian Dable picked him. You need to see if Brian Dable can validate his pick to help keep his job because I think he's a decent coach. The schedule is not getting any easier, so there's not going to be a moment where you can just pick to play him, and the schedule is going to be like multiple bad defenses. It's not coming. Their schedule is like literally the worst in the league. So throw him out there, see what the kid got. You got some weapons on offense with Scatterboo Neighbors. Wanda Robinson is cool. The offense line has been inconsistent, but Andrew Thomas is back, which helps it a lot. So throw him out there and see what he has. Because the 2026 class isn't looking great whatsoever. So you're likely not going to be drafting another quarterback. So you need to see quickly if Dart is your guy going forward. And I think he can get some valuable reps in before the end of the year. Malik Neighbors seemed to be very happy for Dart when he was having that success in the regular season. And he looked frustrated last week. Well, he always looks frustrated when he's not getting the ball. That's how you know he's a great wide receiver. But yeah, Giants. I knew you guys were going to be terrible. I knew the Russell Wilson thing wasn't going to work. That was pretty predictable. But at least you got some young talent on your roster. You got to let it. You got to unleash it, man. Next game, Q. We're gonna move. Eagles block back-to-back field goals to win over the Rams. Q, if you were an Eagles fan, my bad. If you were an Eagles fan, Q, would you be concerned about the Eagles offense if you were an Eagles fan?
I definitely would. Between the route concepts, play calling, and things like that, it just doesn't seem like isn't conducive to like actually winning a Super Bowl. In my opinion, I just don't think they can win a Super Bowl playing like that, like only passing when you need to, that sort of thing. Because eventually, like it's not going to work. Like we were able to take advantage of the Rams because they don't really have no corners, and not that the team has corners two corners to deal with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but you can get better at it. Like you can get better than Emmanuel Forbes and Darius Williams. Also, it was all cool last year when you had like the defense is still a good defense, but they're missing a lot of production on their defense due to like free agency and retirement and whatever the case may be. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter obviously still elite. Quinion Mitchell still good. Cooper DeJean good. But everything else, Zach Bond, but everything else is like still up in the air. Uh, so they still got to need time to gel. Like I said previously, like week 8, week 9, I'm not really gonna care about the defense because I think that those young players are just gonna get better. But if Saquon is not going for historic numbers and running for a buck 50, 200 yards every other game, then you have to find a way to supplement the offense somewhere else. And that should come from, like, it was coming from Jalen Hurts and his legs, but it also should be coming from your 2 stud wide receivers that you're paying a lot of money to. And you can't just, like, afford to just let them be sitting there because they can be dry, they can be rusty. Like, you got to get them to touch it early so everything starts flowing. Because maybe if you start passing the ball early, you could open things up for Saquon and he can start busting those runs out because he hasn't been like he's still been good, but he hasn't been as good or as effective as he was last year or as a bunch of other backs in the league that's playing right now. So the Saquon thing, the running game thing, like it's just not as dominant as it was. So you need to be better in the pass game. And I don't think they should be doing that when they're down 26-6 because not every time you're going to be able to come back from that type of deficit every single game if you happen to get down.
I mean, I agree. I think um, I think the Eagles need to make a change at play caller like pretty quickly, or we can have a repeat of their 2023 season. I've been saying that pretty consistently to begin the year, especially in that first half against the Rams. The route concepts were bad. No one was creating separation. They had like 17 yards passing in that first half, and then obviously Jalen Hurts in the offense and AJ Brown and Smitty come alive and they come back from down 19, 220 odd passing yards in that second half. And that's when they just pretty much opened up the playbook and they targeted their two they targeted their top 5 wide receiver AJ Brown and realized how much of a matchup nightmare that he is. They allowed Jalen Hurts to throw the ball down the field. And I think they were a lot more creative in their play call in the second half, but they need someone that's going to be able to consistently do that. Who is? Let me see. Who is? I forgot. I know it starts. His last name starts with P. Offensive. I need to see how to pronounce it. Damn, he came up pretty quickly. Kevin Patullo.
I said Kevin Patullo. Yeah.
Kevin Patullo had no experience play calling whatsoever before this year, and it feels like they didn't even like search for a replacement for their last offensive play caller in Keenan. Um, why am I bringing on people's names right now? Kellen Moore. I'm sorry. Um, it feels like they didn't even look for a replacement for Kellen Moore. Like they didn't. They just hired in house, and he had no experience play calling, and you can't thrust that onto someone with the expectations that they have in Philly. This is a team that's trying to repeat for a Super Bowl. You definitely shouldn't have a first time play caller calling the offense, and it shows so far um, through 3 weeks. Um, their defense is the reason I think that they are 3-0 at this point. Um, like the defense showed up in a big way against the Rams. They literally won them the game with 2 blocked field goals. They had the interception against the Chiefs that gave them momentum in that game as well. Their defense has been the thing to keep them afloat, and it's really their front four because their back end isn't even good right now whatsoever. So the Eagles, I think, have some things they need to. They have some things that they need to address. Like they have concerns they need to address. But they found a way to win in a different way in each week, and that's something that championship teams do. But their offense needs to look a lot more consistent on a week to week basis in order for them to feel confident that they can repeat as champions. I know Doug Peterson is without a job right now. He has some experience in Philly, a lot of it actually, and they need a play caller. So maybe they can call him somebody, or try to like give play call and do to somebody else. Not Nick Sirianni though, for sure not. Um, but yeah, that's how I feel about the Eagles. I think that they're in a solid spot in terms of what they are right now, but their cornerback two situation not good whatsoever. They targeted Bennett literally on the last drive over and over with Puka. Um, they've been creating pressure mostly by the interior defensive line. Still can use another edge rusher, or is it Zadarius Smith? We'll have to get it going to begin this year. But they need to trade for an edge and a cornerback, I think. Well, maybe not an edge, but at least a cornerback. So, but I mean, you got Howie is going to get it done. You got to believe he's going to get it done. As far as the Rams, did the Rams prove that they are the biggest threat to Philly in NFC? Q.
I don't think they proved it this game. I already thought they were for the simple fact I know they were able to move the ball against the Eagles based off the playoff game, obviously. And I understand they played in the regular season and Saquon ran all over them, but if Saquon not going to run all over them, that gives them more opportunity to throw the ball on them. Obviously, like you said, cornerback two situation is up in the air, and with offensive mind like Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, you got Puka and Devontae, you're going to be able to find a weak spot on that defense and target it, which they did. You get unlucky. Uh, two block punts or slash field goals in a game. Uh, Sometimes you're lucky to get one. They got two. Made great plays. The odds of that happening again are kind of pretty slim. But if I had to put my money on, obviously it'd be the Eagles because you have those two behemoths up the middle. But you can't bank on block field goals being your source of winning games like that because they pretty much drove down the field and pretty much obviously they didn't win the game, but process over results. They got down the field, they got to field goal range, impeccable play calling and time clock management. Pretty much had the game won. If it wasn't for Jordan Davis making an insane play, they win that game. And we're talking about the Rams being 3-0 and the Eagles, you know, having to actually look inside and dig deep because I think the more they win while not looking good, the more they would try to gloss over issues that they had. Obviously, with Howie, that's not going to happen. But the Rams, they had a solid team. I always thought the weakness of their team is that secondary, but you got a great offense and a great pass rush, so that limits a lot of things. Like between a great offense and a great pass rush, you could limit being bad in the secondary because you have to take a sacrifice on something. And I'd rather take a sacrifice on secondary if I got a great front four, which they do.
Our secondary definitely. I mean, they had nothing for AJ Brown, and then Smitty was able to get open down the stretch as well. They on some gotta have it down, third down and long, especially on that last drive where Jalen Hurts looked really poised. The offense really was to get the ball to AJ Brown. Like he was able to dominate whoever. I think it was Cam Williams on him.
It
He
was
was. I mean,
four.
Darius
Was
Williams.
Darius Williams and Emmanuel Forbes taking turns, just
Yeah,
getting little boy
yeah.
by AJ Brown.
And then Smitty scored on Emmanuel Forbes too on that touchdown. Secondary is definitely weakness, but I would probably put them between. Well, yeah, I don't think there's a clear biggest threat to the Eagles right now. I would probably put it between the Rams, Lions, and Packers. Obviously, clearly, those three teams are the biggest threats to the Eagles right now, and one of them will have to like establish their place um, in that hierarchy. And I think the Eagles are obviously as Super Bowl champions, defending champions. They get the lead right now, but they'll have to actually play like they're the best team out of all those guys. Obviously, they beat the Lions, so I think they played all three of those teams this year. So I believe I gotta see. Um,
Now they play the Packers.
yeah, so
I think they
they'll
beat
have a
them.
chance. But yeah, I think the the Rams offense was cooking in the first half. The Devonta Puka was getting whatever he wanted. And I'm blanking on names today.
Devontae.
Yeah, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had a good first half as well. The offense was rolling, and then the Eagles started getting pressure, um, and that was hurting them. They weren't able to run the ball efficiently, and then those block kicks really hurt them. So the interior of the offensive line was getting killed, in that game. So I think the Rams are going to be fine. They're one of the best teams in the league. I'm still looking forward to see they are the clear favorites, um, outside of the Eagles. I mean, like clear favorites to threaten the Eagles. Um, the next game that we'll talk about is the Bears. Had a breakout game against the Cowboys to move to 1-2. Um, Ben Johnson against Matt Eberflus, who was the former head coach of the Bears. They killed the Cowboys. We got to talk about uh, not George Pickens, but CeeDee Lamb's injury. Tyler Booker also got injured as well. Um, what questions did I have for this one? Let me see my notes. Okay, Q. Is this Caleb Williams' breakout game, or is this an indictment on how bad the Cowboys' defense is?
I think it's a mixture of both. Uh, Thing is, we knew the Cowboys defense was bad, so it's like obviously we got to talk about it because it is a thing. But we know that the defense is bad. This was one of those games where like Caleb had no choice but to play well. Either they need to win the game or Caleb needed to play well. They just happened to marry them both together. Uh, you could say Cowboys defense is bad, but you still got to perform because when it comes to Caleb and the Bears, it's always going to be a over talking point when it comes to Caleb. Like the Bears defense gave up 52 to the Lions, and the story was about how Caleb played as if he played bad that game, which he really did. He played fine, but the defense gave up 52. But people found a way to make it about Caleb and not about the defense. So in this game, he couldn't like really win, but he could have definitely lost. If he played poorly against this Cowboy defense, it would have been all hell. If he played average, it would have been all hell. If he lost the game, it would have been all hell. He won the game, played amazing, and somehow the story is well, it's the Cowboys defense and everybody was wide open. It is what it is. You got to play who's on your schedule. You got to make the plays that are there. If he didn't make the plays, they'd be talking down on him. He did what he had to do. Flea flicker hit that opening script. Obviously, been great on opening scripts so to start the season. Everything after that kind of been rocky here and there, but he pretty much played a clean game all the way through. Missed some stuff here and there, but no quarterback makes every single read every single time. Still a young quarterback, still in a new system with a new head coach, like with some new other pieces going on, new old line. So things are still fairly fresh for him. Obviously, he should still be a little bit ahead because he had a year already in the league. But he's still getting some things together, and he just needs confidence builders. And this is the perfect game to build confidence, especially going into next game with the Raiders, who don't look good at all. If they go into they win that game against the Raiders, they go into the bye 500, recalibrate some things, and that could help them propel them for the rest of the season. Especially coming out the gate, they got the Commanders next up, and I think that's a game that they have circled on because that was like a turning point for their season last year. I think they kind of in the right direction to right their ship. So I think this is all plus signs for the Bears and Caleb.
Um, I don't know, man. With with how the last year of the Bears football team has went, you have to look at this game as a massive win for the Bears and for Caleb. You just have to. I understand that the Cowboys defense is terrible. It is one of the worst in the league. They let Russell Wilson throw for 400 yards. That's how bad their defense is. Um, so you do have to take it with a grain of salt almost, but this could be a game that's big for Caleb. Like having that confidence, having that belief in yourself. Rome got involved, Luther Burden got involved. So the future of their offense potentially had a really big game, something they could build on as the year went on. Because, like this time last week, the world was crashing for the Bears on their season. So you get your first win of the year, and Caleb looks amazing. The defense plays well as well. Um, so you got to look at it positively from that perspective. I do, however, want to see him play well and the Bears offense play well against a competent defense because it's being revealed that the Cowboys are just one of the worst in the league. Like their secondary specifically is god awful. Um, like Trayvon Diggs has regressed. He was never that good, anyways, but he has regressed tremendously. Um, Micah made this defense look way better than it ever was because he was able to get to the passer, and that obviously helps your secondary. They don't have a pass rush worth a damn whatsoever. Let me see where they rank in QB pressure percentage. Let me pull this up real quick. Next gen stats.
They're not a good unit.
Yeah, I know it's bad. QB pressure percentage. Wait a minute.
It gotta be bottom 5.
Maybe not. Oh, they're 15th.
Ooh.
15. You know that's probably. I mean, heavily skewed towards week 1 though. I would assume. Because they got after Jim Hurts a good amount. But yeah, they can't get to the passer. I'm not letting these stats tell me. I know what I'm watching. They can't get to the passer. The secondary is not good. Eberflus, he needs talent on his defense, I think, to really produce a good defense because he's too conservative in his coverages. He plays a lot of zone. And if he's not like manufacturing pressure by sending exotic blitzes and stuff like that, he's not going to be able to get done with this unit. I think the Cowboys season was pretty much over before it started. To be honest, they showed promise in week 1, being able to hang with the Eagles, especially with the defense looked solid. Their offense looked pretty good. I won't say it's necessarily all the way over, but CeeDee Lamb's injury is not encouraging whatsoever. Tyler Booker's injury not encouraging whatsoever. So Jerry is reaping what he sows right now. Their defense looks terrible. I think that their offense will be good eventually, and can still put up points even without CD. Because I think that highly of Dak Prescott. But this team is just likely not going to make the playoffs because that defense is horrid. It's genuinely awful. Unless they make a move for a pass rusher, it's going to be bad. So that's pretty much all I got to say about the Cowboys, and pretty much all I got to say about the Bears. I don't know. I think that Jaden put his Bear Witness episode out today, so I got to type into that, see what he said. But we're gonna talk about any other week 3 takeaways. I got a few things to say. I know Q, you got a few things to say. I'm gonna start off probably with about the Colts. We talked about them a few times this year already, honestly. But I am just super excited to see Shane Steichen finally get a quarterback. Not saying he has one now. I'm saying I'm excited to see whenever Shane Steichen gets a quarterback, because he's kind of in that Kevin Stefanski mode of like, he just elevates talent clearly. Like the last time he had an above average quarterback, he had Jalen Hurts as a MVP candidate, had a team in a Super Bowl. When he actually gets a quarterback on his Colts roster, which is a pretty good roster with a good running back, a good set of weapons, a solid defense, they're going to be a very, very good team going forward. Whenever he gets an actual quarterback, that's how good Shane Steichen is as a play caller, and that's how good he's proven to be as a head coach. I think he is 20-17 so far, and he hasn't had one good quarterback unless he's just changed Daniel Jones' life yet so far. And Daniel Jones to begin the year has looked amazing. He has executed his scheme perfectly, has proven me wrong so far to what I think he can be. He has proved me right, though, in the sense that I said that it was more likely that Shane Steichen can turn Daniel Jones around and change his career around than Anthony Richardson being good. And every single week that Daniel Jones and his offense looks good, it's an indictment on Aaron. It's an indictment on Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson though is still very, very young. If he can somehow, if he can somehow turn this thing around, they will have a very good team going forward. I don't think he will though, but I'm just saying if somehow he did. Tyler Warren looks good. Jonathan Taylor is healthy and looking great, like a top 5 back in the league. Um, they got Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell. Um, a solid defense. The Colts are a good team. They got to be near your top 10 at least um, in the power rankings. We'll talk about that next. We'll see. They're definitely a contender. Um, but yeah, man, the Colts have looked good. Shane Steichen, I'm giving all the praise to him. That's my one of my week 3 takeaways. I'm gonna give it to you, Q. What's one of your week 3 takeaways?
That also is one of my week 3 takeaways. But it's like I told you all these things in the office. Like we in the Discord, you arguing against the Colts being basically a quarterback away, a real quarterback away from pretty much competing to run this division. And no, Daniel Jones is not the real quarterback that's supposed to be the quarterback away. But it just shows that the roster that has a bunch of talent and a great offensive coach, obviously you just get a quarterback, he should be fine. They have a better roster overall than I think than the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have the top end talent. They do not have the depth. Like, yes, Nico Collins is better than Michael Pittman, but Nico Collins isn't better than Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, A.D. Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? Tyler Warren is already a top 5 tight end, if you ask me. They have a solid O-line. Jonathan Taylor is a better running back than anybody that the Houston Texans got. Their O-line better than the Houston Texans. They have Derek Stingley, a top 3 corner in the league, but the Colts have Chardavius Ward and Kenny Moore, two decent corners plus Jalen Jones. Like they have a collection of talent that, as long as they play well, play together with Luan and Rumo, and how he's able to call a defense, they should be fine. I thought, like we said, I thought it was crazy that Max thought this would be a 4-win team. That just didn't seem plausible to me based off everything we've seen from the Colts throughout the years. Forget about the Shane Steichen era of it. Think about the Colts as a whole, as an organization. They never been a bad team. We never seen them be a bad team. They always knew how to stockpile talent. So, and you said the Daniel Jones thing is an indictment on Anthony Richardson. It's also an indictment on the Giants. Clearly, they failed in maximizing him and putting the requisite talent around him. Like they just failed in doing that. And you get the right coaching. And I'm not that Dable's not as good as a coach as Shane Steichen, but belief in the player, wanting the player, supporting him and lifting him up. Look what you could get out of him. And he's playing like he's the Sam Darnold this year. Like maybe not the level of the Baker Mayfield or the Geno Smith, but he could definitely be on that Sam Darnold tier, which is like a level below that Baker Geno situation. You know what I'm saying? And that's perfectly fine, especially in a division like this. If he keep playing like this, you could hold him down for a little bit. I'm not saying don't go out and whatever, but you can give him that Sam Darnold deal, $30 million a year in this division. There's no rush to if they win the division and run away with it. There's no rush to upgrade because we won the division with Daniel Jones. With the Texans looking how they're looking, the Jags don't look promising, and the Titans are bad right now. So the Colts, they pretty much have a runway to get in a home playoff game. Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard pretty much saved their job with this move. I think all smiles up. I think they're pretty much riding on house money for the rest of the year. I don't expect it to fall off. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is going to be playing clean football the whole year, but there's a baseline level of play that we can see from him. And if he has some hiccups, I'm not saying they're going 17-0, but they could pretty much win 10 games, and I wouldn't blink an eye. I wouldn't think that's crazy at all. So I think this is all in all. Everything's pointing up. Shane Steichen was vindicated in his decision, whether it was collusion or they was being shady, whatever, to Anthony Richardson. Hey, this is the NFL. We got jobs. We got kids to feed, just like they got kids to feed. He got a job to keep, and that's what he did. Everybody's all smiles. And in the end, if you ask me, Daniel Jones happy, Shane Steichen happy, whole team balling right now.
Shane Steichen, again, out in on this. Shane Steichen was under heavy scrutiny for the way he handled the Daniel Jones situation, or the way he handled the Anthony Richardson situation. And his answer is like, "Oh, Daniel Jones did it in 2022. He's had ups and downs." And it sounded like coach speak. I'm not gonna lie. It sounded like coach speak. But come to find out, he actually believed in this guy. He actually believed in what he can do. He actually believed in how he can execute this offense, and so kudos to him. That's my first takeaway. Q had the same one. My next takeaway from week 3 was that um, I think the Texans season is clearly over. Um, I think they've done a great disservice to CJ Stroud. Has CJ Stroud looked good over the last like 24 odd games? No. No, he has not. Um, he's turned the ball over more than he usually does, or what he did in his rookie season. Um, but I think the offensive line is just clearly an issue, and it's made him look a lot worse than what he is. I think CJ Stroud is one of the more talented quarterbacks in the league. I'm a big fan of his arm talent. I'm a big fan of his ability to read the field and make tight window throws and throw with anticipation. Um, he is just not a mobile quarterback. He's not a mobile quarterback whatsoever. Well, he's not like a statue. I don't want to say that. He's not a mobile quarterback, so um, he's not able to escape sacks very well whatsoever. They have no running game. They have one real wide receiver. Um, they just haven't invested enough in this offensive line, and I really do hope that D'Amico Ryans doesn't lose his job because I think he is a good head coach. I think he's done a great job with his defense. The defense is still elite. They just need help on his offensive line badly. They need a running back, and they need another wide receiver. That's what they need to just focus on the draft. Well, obviously, don't give up on the season at this point. You're still 0-3. You're 0-3, yes. It's still week 3, though. You need to be still trying to win. But in this next draft, they need to focus on the offensive line, a running back, and another receiver. Like that's what they need to do. Fix their holes, because they are, I think, beginning to ruin Stroud's career with his offensive line. Now, other quarterbacks are able to manage it better, but I just feel like the play calling hasn't been the greatest, and he's not mobile enough to actually really deal with it. So that's pretty much all I got to say about C.J. Stroud. I believe in him, so I think he'll be a good quarterback, and I think he'll bounce back. But not looking the greatest whatsoever to begin the year. Um,
I think
any
he's
thoughts on
regressed a little bit based on the situation. Like his touch on the out, like if you go back and watch like the all 22, like a lot of his games, a lot of his out routes, the ball placement is not there. But I think that's due to like him like not trusting the O line, obviously. So you kind of rush those and things like that. I think he bails pockets early. All again, not his fault, really. The Texans they're ruining the coveted rookie contract, like with CJ Stroud because this is the third year. This is the year where you have to pick up fifth year options between him and Will Anderson, as you heard me say before. Uh, is he worth $55 million? Yes, I think he could. I think he's worth what you pay Tua. I think he's worth what you pay Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, and whatnot. I think he's in that echelon of quarterback. You can't comfortably pay him that money and Will Anderson give him 35 plus $1 million, but not fix the team. Now you're drastically limiting the team. You have to be able to drive well. They have to like that. That's the only way they're going to be able to salve the situation if they learn how to draft properly and pick the right things. I think they went like their big offseason moves last year were all like offensive weapons, not offensive line, and like obviously pass rusher. Like they spent a lot on Daniel Hunter and like a bunch of defensive pieces, but they didn't do anything to actually support CJ Stroud. I think everything has to be done to support CJ Stroud, or they're just failing themselves on their start, and they're just going to dig themselves into a hole, kind of like what they did with Deshaun Watson.
do you have another week 3 takeaway?
My other takeaway is the Denver Broncos are not a good team. Uh, Luckily, they have a third place schedule, so they can reel off a bunch of wins. They have the Cowboys on there. They have the Jets on there. They have the Raiders. Obviously, I don't think the Raiders are a good team. They got the Raiders twice. I think they have uh, what they got a Jaguars in there and things like that. So they're probably still gonna they probably could still end the year 10-7, but we can't comfortably feel like I can't comfortably feel good about this team especially with the way the media and the analytics like type people hyped up this Denver Broncos team based off the pieces that they signed in the offseason. 2 of 3, which aren't even on the field playing. Uh, RJ Harvey, the Sean Payton has done a lot of talking in the offseason. This is one of the best teams I've ever had. It's a team that can win the Super Bowl. Bo Nix is this, Bo Nix is that. Everybody love Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Sean Payton got so many friends in the media that everybody's just eating up what he says, but the product is not matching. Bo Nix came in close to the ceiling. He was likely to trick people's eyes and to think he was a good quarterback just because he was a 5-6 year starter in college. Obviously, he was going to come out, be pro ready, sit there, Sean Payton, get him the playbook, tell him where to go. He's going to be able to hit the throw. That's it. That's base level. That's base level things. Mac Jones could do that. Mac Jones is doing that right now. You know what I'm saying? There's a ceiling to it, and I think we've seen the ceiling. They're a good team, not a great team, and probably never going to do anything in the playoffs. So they're probably going to be pigeonholed, having to pay Bo Nix some money that should not be paid, and they're going to slowly go back into the depths of the AFC West again because everything they do is like a fallacy. Like the defense is great, but the additions that they added aren't making no real additions. So they pretty much have the same defense, and that defense wasn't performing well against top quarterbacks. As we see again, the defense still gets shredded. Like they got after Justin Herbert, but he was still able to deliver throws. There was a bunch of drops and things like that, miscues that led to it being a closer game than it should have been. But it's the same team we seen last year, and that same team got blasted in the first round of the playoffs. So I'm out on the Broncos. I don't care if they make the playoffs. There's no reason to believe in them.
All right, my last takeaway from week 3, and this one pains me. I've been the biggest defender of Marvin Harrison throughout his career so far. I think that the Cardinals haven't utilized him enough in this offense. He hasn't been a focal point of this offense to begin his career, especially since they use a top 5 pick on him. I don't think he gets enough targets whatsoever. I don't think he gets used in the slot enough. They use him like too many like clear out routes and him just not being involved in plays. But that performance against the 49ers was disgraceful. Two huge drops that cost them the game. There's no defending that whatsoever. Marvin Harrison, he needs to become a more assertive player. He needs to become better at the catch point. And he's not like a otherworldly athlete. He doesn't seem to be like a super pristine route runner either. So the Cardinals are going to have to compensate for that, but he just has to be better. I've been giving him grace, but you have to catch the ball. You have to in order for Kyler to trust you and give you more opportunities, when he does throw you the ball, you have to make good on that. You have to catch those big plays. You have to make plays after the catch too. Marvin Harrison has been incredibly disappointing to begin his. I don't want to say that because then that's over indexing on one game, but he's been underwhelming to begin his career, especially with all the. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish it.
He's been underwhelming to begin his career and not living up to expectations that his name carries, that the level of prospect he was, and it's pretty disappointing. So I am rooting for you, Marvin Harrison. I hope you turn it around, man. Please, for me, because I said you were like a lot of crazy things, but yeah. Q.
I think, like I said, a lot of apologies been going on for Kyler Murray because they made it seem like it was a Kyler Murray thing that he's just not getting the ball to Marvin Harrison, not looking his way, just icing him out the offense. I think a lot of it, I think there's a decent amount of Kyler does miss throws here and there because he's a 5'9", 5'10" quarterback behind 6'5" offensive lineman. So I think that plays a part, but I'm not going to blame him for something he can't control. Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, doesn't always call plays in the best interest of Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, he has a bunch of other players that he has to, utilize. But if I'm picking a player at 4, I'm going to make sure he's a very important part of the offense. but that doesn't mean you're putting him on the wrong routes and things that he wasn't doing in college. Like you got to use him to the best of his ability. So using him to clear out space for other players isn't always in the best interest of Marvin Harrison Jr., who's a young guy, a young player, and young players aren't always the most mature. I think he's a mature guy. I think he's like a pretty easygoing dude, but that could be a bad thing, especially as a wide receiver, because you need your touches, you need your targets, you need your catches. That's how you produce in the league as a wide receiver, and he's not getting it. But it doesn't seem like he does get lazy on his routes. He does give up on routes. He doesn't run to the full, especially if he knows the ball, the play call isn't for him. Why would he run his hardest? Like people, like players have to go through that a lot, and that's a battle within himself. Uh, Also has a drop issue. He dropped a couple of gimmies that could have pretty much had him in like a 100 yard game, and it doesn't look good when another first round receiver on the other side, albeit one of the last picks of the first round, is on the other side giving you a 10 catches, 115 yards, like and pretty much outshining you since the season started. Like so, that's a lot of things going on. I think like he has the talent to be one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think things have to change collectively between Kyler, him, offensive coordinator. I think they should have done that over the offseason, but it's to the point where like you got him sulking on the like in the podium, damn, like really, real, looking real emotional. I think a lot of things have to change. I still believe in Marvin Harrison Jr., but as a Kyler Murray fan, I'm glad it's not. We moved from the it's all on Kyler. We're blaming Kyler for not getting the ball, and like we understand that he has culpability in this too.
All right, let's move on to week 4 power rankings. We're gonna make one list based on we're gonna come well we either do two. We're gonna just do two. I'm gonna let you go first. I got my 10. I just want to hear what you're gonna say.
Uh, I feel like I feel like I'm missing a team. I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure that I am, but if I'm missing a team, it's probably because I don't think highly of them. But my power rankings would go Eagles, Bills, Chargers, Packers, Rams, Lions, Ravens, Bucks, Kansas City, Indiana, or Indianapolis.
Wait, you say Eagles who?
Eagles, Bills, Chargers, Packers, Rams, Lions, Ravens, Buccaneers, Chiefs, Colts.
You don't got the 49ers.
I don't.
Okay.
It's not that they not playing. It's not that they're not playing well. They are 3-0. But between Mac Jones starting at quarterback, I understand he played well, but you have Mac Jones starting at quarterback, and their second best defensive player is out for the season. Their first round rookie went out, game for the injury. Trent Williams not playing that well. I don't know how is that sustainable. Plus, they played pretty much the same level of competition the Colts have played, and the Colts pretty much have their whole team. So, like, I think if they played each other, I'd probably give the edge to the Colts just because they have a more healthier team.
All right. My top 10 teams after week 3. At 10, I have the Indianapolis Colts. At 9, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 8, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they're 1-2. Cool. At 7, I have the Baltimore Ravens. At 6, I have the Los Angeles Rams. That's probably too low. Actually, I might change that because the Rams did just barely lose to the Eagles, who my number one team. Let me change it real quick. But the Rams did. Lions offense looks great, man. I'm gonna put the Rams.
The Rams never got blown out. If you want to take that into account.
I'm gonna put the Rams at 4. Actually,
Ooh.
um, I'm doing redoing this. Hold on, I'm just gonna redo this real quick. All right, my top 10 teams in the NFL after week 3. At 10, I have the Colts. At 9, I have the Buccaneers. At 8, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. At 7, I have the Baltimore Ravens. At 6, I have the Green Bay Packers. At 5, I have the Detroit Lions. Yes, they beat them, but I kind of think that was an outlier. I'm not gonna lie. It's at least beat them that badly. Um, they weren't able to establish a running game. Obviously, the Packers defense right the game. Sure, I agree. I get it. I can understand if I get pushback on that one, and I probably will. Um, at 4, I have the Los Angeles Rams. At 3, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. At 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. And at 1, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. It's my top 10 teams in NFL. So I think we had the same order. I mean, same teams, just different
Same
order.
team, different order. The only thing I would say is like between with the Packers, like yeah, it may have been an outlier, but like they utterly destroyed, like utterly handled the Lions, and then they followed that up by doing the same thing to the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least on their resume, they don't have a blowout loss on the resume. They have a bad loss to the Browns, a look ahead spot because they do have a big game. Big game, not because it's two great teams, but you got Dallas versus the Packers. Micah going back to Dallas. So I think like maybe they kind of was looking ahead and looked over the Browns because the Browns. Well, okay, maybe I'm not going to harp over a couple spots. I just think the Lions have a bad loss, like a very bad loss. But I'm not going to be too mad at like their offense still look great. They just put up 38 on the Ravens. They put up 52 on the Bears. So I'm not going to go too crazy about that. If you put up 52, then you pretty much back on track.
I'm just so much more confident in their offense to me. I mean, I think the Packers. Uh, I think that the offense is still struggling. The offensive line still struggle. Jordan Love decision making is still not the best. Still not a big fan of their pass catchers. Is outside of Tucker Craft. Um, Jaden Reed is out for the season with injury. Defense is still is looking the league look like one of the best, if not the best in the league right now, for sure. So that is going to go in their favor. Um, but yeah, I would say um, right now I had them one spot ahead of them because I think since week 2, the Lions have looked like probably the second, third best team in the league since that week 1. Um, Thoroughly dominated the Bears, who the Bears are ass, but um, then a really big win against the Ravens, and this game was not as close as the box score indicated. In terms of like, well, not really because that fumble was
The
very very.
Lions kind of like we were playing catch up with the Lions pretty much the whole game because they came out and scored first. So we was always behind the 8 ball. And all the turnovers, even though the Lions didn't capitalize on turnovers and stall drives, they still kept control because they kept time of possession pretty much the whole time. Like, one drive took 9 minutes off the clock. And then when push came to shove, they took the lead and then they took the lead again. Like they were pretty much up 2 scores. Like that last touchdown was the last touchdown. They were up 2 scores on us pretty much for a good chunk of the like the past half of the game.
All right, that's going to do it for our episode for the week 3 recap in episode 153. You guys made it this far. We love y'all. We're going to be back with some NFL content literally tomorrow. We're gonna record week 4 predictions and get out some more content for you guys here pretty soon. We got to start NBA draft. NBA season is rapidly approaching. So yeah, man, it's been hard because of school, and we all have a lot of going on right now. But we're gonna try to stay consistent and stay motivated. So love y'all, and we are out.